entrepreneur and I'm going on my 5th year.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Virtual Cafe podcast, where we tell stories that slap straight from people who have been through the mud but never collapsed. Today, we have Darryn Lombard, brand strategist, CEO and founder of Frameless Picture, and the guy who's helped businesses go from struggling to becoming the brand everyone else wants to be. We're talking about clients who've seen 100x revenue growth, going from the new guys on the block to the industry leaders in months. Darryn helps creative visionaries understand their customers, simplify their offerings, and position their brands so clearly that everything else, pricing, messaging, standing out, becomes easy. So without further ado, let's jump in. What's up, Darryn? How you feeling today, man?
Oh, I'm good, man. How are you doing? That was an amazing intro.
Thank you. I'm doing great, bro. You want to know what's crazy is that I just saw your your new rebrand on your LinkedIn. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
I love it.
I honestly, I was kind of thinking, I was like, what rebrand? But I did change my banner just a little bit, but yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully it resonates with people, really.
No, for sure. Let me ask you, we've been talking for a while on LinkedIn, and you're a very dynamic person with an incredible story. So what would you choose to be the opening scene of your life story?
Ooh, I think about this frequently. If I could choose an actor to play me, like probably older me, because he's older than me, it would be James Roday. So just shout out to James Roday for that one. But basically, man, I think if it were to start anywhere, it would probably start with me surviving brain surgery. Wow. I think that's where it would start, because I came to Christ around that time. And there were some other things that were happening in my life that came about later that needed some healing. But survived brain surgery. We found out that I had a brain tumor, and then in August that year, they were like, yeah, you got to go into surgery in 1 month, or you're going to go deaf, and then you're going to go blind, or no, blind, then deaf, and then pass away. And I was 6 years old. Yeah. And my parents were absolutely terrified. But honestly, like, I can't really explain it other than anything less than a miracle, because we are immigrants, right? So I came from South Africa to the United States, and the whole thing, like, my dad just had this job that had insane benefits, and somehow we only owed after the surgery like 10 cents or something like that.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy.
All praise to the Most High. That is beautiful.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And they said it was the easiest surgery they ever did. It was a 4-hour surgery, and 4 hours later I was out of the operating room, and I was out of the hospital in 7 days. Wow. Which was wild. And I didn't have to relearn anything. I didn't have to relearn how to walk. I didn't have to relearn how to talk. They said if they operated on the other side of my head, that I probably wouldn't have been as creative as I've been in my life. So, dude, like, insane miracle.
Yeah. And that's interesting because of the simple fact that your background is, in graphic design. So you kind of have to be a little creative.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And before that, so actually, because I wasn't able to do sports, right? Because they took mass out of my brain shrunk or whatever, and so there was room for it to move around, right? So they were like, no contact sports at all. I was also weirdly allergic to like grapefruit for a while. And then, it was pretty weird. And so, because I wasn't allowed to do sports, I started doing music. So music was, everybody thought that I was just going to be this like musician. That was going to be my career. That was what I was going to do. And I did do that for about 4 years. In college, I ran a band, and I had to do all the graphic design for the band, because, we needed somebody to do it. And I ran the social media for it. And, eventually I met my wife. I also left the church for a while. I was kind of against church and stuff like that for a little
Mhm.
bit. So I came back to Christ, met my wife, left the band, and actually closed down this business all
Yeah.
within like a 7-month period. And then I started working at this job that I always told my friends. I was like, you'll never see me working that job. And I was a teller at a bank. And
I
that
was a
was,
teller too before.
yeah, and honestly, really fun job. I was like, I don't know
It,
why I dogged on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was. You know, it's so crazy. The interesting thing about being a bank teller. I definitely want to dive back into something you said. I'm gonna come back to it. But the
Yeah.
interesting thing about being a bank teller is that it's like you really see how money really works. You know,
Yes.
like
Yes.
and I think you disassociate um people's physical appearance from their bank account.
Yes.
You know, like amongst society, you see people and they're flashy and this and that and blah blah blah, whatever. Like I've seen some dudes um that are, let's just say, not from this country. They come in dirty, paint all over their clothes, and they got $120,000 in their bank account.
Yeah,
And
seriously.
I got negative $65 in my bank account.
Yeah.
You know, you,
Yeah, and I'm wearing a suit behind the counter and I'm like, man, no, this yeah, this ain't it, man.
you know.
Yeah.
But you had mentioned that you had like steered away from the church.
Yeah.
Now, was that, were you anti-church or anti-Christ? Because I'm a believer myself, and I don't necessarily believe that those two are synonymous. Like I think there are
Right.
people who absolutely follow Christ, but
Mhm.
don't necessarily. What would be what would be a good word? Like they don't like feed into the religious aspect of it. Like they
Mm.
have a, you know, that whole
Mhm.
term relationship versus religion, you know.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
So is that
No,
your
that's
case?
yeah, that's a great question, and I haven't thought about that too much, honestly. I I definitely walked away from the establishment of the church.
Mm,
Not not Christ,
okay.
But I think in doing that, I also walked away from Christ because I stopped reading my Bible. I stopped like looking in, like praying as much. And I just wasn't aligned with what the Lord really wanted for my life, and I think, um, yeah, I made a bunch of mistakes. I kind of tell people like, and I won't get too far into it because it's like, okay, TMI, dude, but it's like, but, but basically, I was ruining my life. I was ruining other people's lives. And it was just not a good time. Right. But I really wanted to be close to the Lord. I think what I found was just this insane loneliness.
Hmm.
And I remember because I was an RA in college, and if I could describe myself as an RA, I think I was one of the most corrupt RAs in college. You know, like people who I worked for were like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, and I was just like, I'm just living it up, but like I have influence here, and I'm just doing what I want to, and there's not that many restrictions, so kind of shove off,
Yeah.
and then but in that I became super duper lonely.
Hmm.
And I remember this one night I don't know, I got done watching a movie by myself or something, and I just curled up on the ground, bawling my eyes out and like crying out to the Lord. And I was like, I just like, there's just this emptiness,
Yeah.
right? There's just this emptiness that I cannot fill with whatever I want to fill it with.
Hmm.
And, and like, and then I just asked him, I was like, Lord, like, help me, like, I just take me away. Right. And also, if you have a wife for me, that would be super awesome.
Yeah.
you know and like and I just kind of gave that to him, right, and
Mhm.
just literally surrendered it because I was like, I have no idea what else to do.
Yeah.
The next day, I went to the coffee shop in the lobby, and I was walking out of the coffee shop, and I just remember just everything went super quiet, and I just heard this voice super duper loud but talking to me really really quietly.
Mm.
And it was very intentional, and this voice said to me, everything's going to change. And I said, everything? And then the voice said, everything. And I was like, that was crazy. Like I could still see like the floor exactly where I was standing and everything. And basically then from that moment on, I mean, yeah, like just like I said, I dropped out of college
Mhm.
and I left the band. I uh ended a bunch of relationships
Mhm.
and I um closed the business eventually because it was just like and that was the thing that I was most afraid of, was closing the business.
Mhm.
And the Lord knew that. So he said, "Go be a teller." Which now I'm grateful for, because now it's exactly what you said. It's like I got to see how, and that was my weakest point, was money. I had no idea how money worked. I left high school not knowing what a loan was,
Mhm.
which obviously got me into a lot of trouble. And we're actually like paying debt off still. So, but now like, and we're actually almost out of debt. Praise the Lord. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like so basically, I got to learn then, how does money move?
Yeah.
How does it work? Exactly how you described it. And so funny, like disassociating the image of money
Mhm.
versus what money actually looks like. And you learn money looks like hard work, determination, diligence, and all the things that people don't want to put into making a lot of money. you know?
And to piggyback off that, the biggest thing about money, like when I didn't have a relationship with Christ, I didn't understand is that money is people look at money like it's physical, it's digital, it's your whatever. Money is actually spiritual by nature, because our dollar is not backed by anything. It's
Hmm.
backed by the belief that it's
Yeah.
worth something, right? And then
Yeah.
like it also exists in three different places. Only spiritual things can exist in multiple places at once. So you
Mm,
got like the same money that exists in your debit card is the same money that's in your checking account, is the same money that's in your actual checkbook. Like it's the same
yeah.
money, but it's existing in different places. And so
Right.
that's why a lot of the time when you're meant to serve Christ and you're not serving him, but you haven't committed yourself to the enemy, right? Like you
Mm,
haven't committed yourself to the enemy, and you're wondering, why am I still always broke? A lot of the time it's because all things shall be added unto you. So
mm,
first it's about seeking Christ, and there's nothing wrong with having money,
right.
but you have to make sure that you're adding value to
Yeah.
people wholeheartedly,
Yeah.
you know? And so
Yeah.
that's the issue, is that a lot of the time people, they when they think about money, they think about what they can get from people versus what they can give people.
Right. No, dude, absolutely. And that's like interestingly enough, like what brand strategy is all about, which is
Mhm.
so cool because I'm so aligned with that, right? It's like you have to, like, your business has no point unless it's going to serve somebody else,
Mhm.
right? And I always tell people, if you're doing your business for you, you're doing a hobby, man. Like that's your thing. But if you're
Yeah.
doing your business and that's supposed to like serve somebody else or help somebody else, now you're running a business.
Mhm.
But like, um, yeah, no, that's a very cool explanation of money, actually, because, and that's exactly why, like, the word says, like, don't serve two masters, right? You can't serve two masters. Either you serve the one or hate the other, or the other way around. And it's like, yeah, it's like, now I want to always be careful of prosperity gospel. It's not like you get saved and it's like, oh, all of a sudden, like, all this money comes your way. Like, we are definitely not like rich people, me and my wife, right? But yeah, I think you get this really healthy disassociation from finances that is like, oh, this is a tool and this is something for us to steward, and this is something for us to use to help other people in
Mhm.
the world. And that just like changes the whole dynamic, which is healthy. And I feel way better about finances. And it was, like I said, it was my weakest point. I felt a lot of shame when it came to money when I was younger. So, yeah.
I still feel shame
Yeah.
sometimes. I don't feel bad about it at all.
Yeah.
But like that point that you said about that loneliness, like I feel you on that, bro. Like
Yeah.
being in a position of authority when you kind of feel it, when you know deep down in your heart that you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
that's rough,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah.
Like we've all been there. We've all
Yeah.
been there.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to know, right? So you then get into graphic design,
Yeah.
right? You're in graphic design. Your first job was at UPS, right?
Yes, yep, yeah, UPS store, yeah. Dang, good memory, man. Oh my goodness. So, yeah. So basically, after I left the band, got married, and then I was working at the bank for a while. Then I kind of jumped around from job to job because I was like, I just want to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do on this
Mhm.
planet. And eventually, I was part of this men's group, and my mentor in that men's group, he was like, hey, my son might have a gig for you, and he owns a UPS store. I met with him, and he was like, yeah, we need a graphic designer, would you be interested? I said, yep, let's do it. So then I did graphic design there for about a year and a half or so. During that time, because and because it was really cool because it was equipping stuff that I had already done, that I was like, oh, I actually have a really good passion for this. So I got to design brands and stuff like that. Within the first month, we had 10x the revenue there
Mm.
because he was like, dude, we only made this much in design and print. And, I did some sort of a logo design or something, and charged hopefully appropriately, at least a little bit more appropriately. And then he was like, wow, we did like more than we have been. And then from there I started studying graphic design more and more and more, and ran into, I was following Will Patterson, Chris Do, and like just other designers and Dansky, right? So shout out to those guys. But basically, I was trying to get better at my craft. Then they were talking about branding, and then and then Chris Stowe started talking about brand strategy, and then I was like, "What is brand strategy? Oh, that's something I don't want to touch, right? That's a lot of risk." And then he brought on Marty Neumeyer and Fabian Gerhalter. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, all my heroes. Okay, so and so I'm like nerding out because they're all on LinkedIn, and I love like hanging out with them. But basically, then I started watching these podcasts, and Fabian starts talking about brand strategy, and I'm like, I think like that. Like I
Mhm.
remember taking, tests in college, and that maps out my exact, psychology. Then Marty Neumeyer starts talking about brand strategy, and I'm like, I'm hooked. Like this is what I feel like I was made for. And I was always running into this issue in brand design that was like, I'm not helping people make solid decisions for their business. And I
Mhm.
always wanted to do that. I always wanted to be like kind of somebody who came alongside somebody and said, this is what you need to do for your business because that's going to put you on a healthy trajectory.
Mhm.
And they don't listen to you in graphic design. They don't want to listen to you in graphic design because they just they want a good logo. They want their brand to look good in the market. But
Mhm.
I wanted to talk to something deeper than that. So I started offering brand strategy there at the UPS store. I wasn't supposed to, so sorry, UPS store, but I did, and it 100x their revenue in a year. So, so yeah. Anyway, we move on. But after that, then I was like, okay, this is really cool. I want to start doing this for myself. And then I there was a part of the job was that graphic designers also had to do customer service.
Mhm.
Okay. And that was really difficult. I'd be designing a logo, somebody would walk in to do an Amazon return, and I'd have to get up. And this is like 300 times a day. And you're trying to design a brand identity while doing that. It just wasn't working. So I transitioned to an electrical engineering firm where I could do design all day, and then before and after work, now I do brand strategy. So um and now actually we don't even do design. I don't even touch design anymore, which is awesome, and it's the best place for us to be. And one of our previous clients, he did one of the exercises, and we actually did a brand identity redesign for him and a website, and he said the most helpful thing for him was this exercise. And I said, sweet. that's all I need to do now.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love that, bro. It's like sometimes you're like when you're in alignment, your purpose finds you, you
yeah,
know, versus
yes,
I think the issue is when you're trying to chase things that aren't necessary you're not necessarily meant to do. Like how you
yeah,
mentioned, just brand strategy felt so natural to you because it's just your God-given ability, you know?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so then you pretty much started taking other like clients outside of your actual 9 to 5, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So then I started at the electrical engineering firm, and at that point we were like, okay, let's start working with clients. So, um, I took one and charged not nearly enough. I was like really experimenting. We saw how impactful it was for her. Then we there was somebody else who heard that I worked in brand strategy, and they asked me, they said, "Do you work with like Google rankings?" And I
Mm.
said, "Yeah, I mean I work with like kind of, you know,
Yeah.
like they related." And we ended up meeting with him, and we were like, the problem was definitely not Google rankings. The problem
Mm.
was they don't know who they're messaging to, why they're messaging. Yeah, they didn't know their purpose, offering, or values, and it was just kind of this convoluted system. They also didn't know who their customers were, what they wanted, or like, you know, how they belong, right? And everyone struggles with this.
True.
And so we were like, okay, well let's get that figured out. Let's talk. I asked him a few questions, like basically like, are you having issues with these things that kind of indicate that, like, um, you know, because he had a website, and I was like, so what's kind of getting in the way of you putting messaging on your website? And he's like, well, I just don't know what people want. It's like,
Yeah.
well, okay, well, this is your customer, so like you should know what they want, right? And like I didn't put it in that many words, right? But it's kind of like you kind of guide them to that. It's like the logic of this is your customer. This is like your community that you should be a leader in.
Mhm.
And so how do you how do you serve someone if you don't know who they are?
Mhm.
So we decided, okay, we'll do the website for you, we'll do a visual rebrand for you, and but before we do any of that, let's do brand strategy. And
Mm.
so we took like 2 or 3 months, over 6 meetings, and we put together a brand strategy guide. And that brand strategy guide is the same one we use today with a few more additions now, but basically we cover customer profile, so who your customer is, how they think, um, where your brand positions in the market. So how do you compare to your competitors? And then also your business model. So how can we make business decisions easy for your customers? And that was actually awesome for him because in his industry at the time, everybody had this like really convoluted pricing system.
Mm.
And I said, you should do flat rate. Just
And
pick three prices and do a small, medium, large thing,
Mhm.
and just go flat rate. And now he like he owns the market. So it's like yeah, and nobody has the had the guts to. I said, if you do this, nobody else is going to have the guts to imitate that.
Mm.
And because everybody's so like used to in that industry doing it one particular way. And I said, no, no, we're going to break the rules here, and this is why. And so we just kind of talked about economics and stuff, and so yeah, brand strategy, economics are very closely related because it's all about like how people work. And so lots of cool conversations there. And the great thing is that the business model translates directly to the website. So once we had that down, I mean the business model, you know, the website became very easy to design because it's all based off of that model. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely love that, and those I'm curious, how did it feel when you were starting to develop that momentum and you were seeing and you initially went from, okay, I think I can do this by theory to people actually benefiting from your expertise?
Man, Oh, so it feels so good right now, even. I mean, so actually during that project, my son was born. So my firstborn son, he was born. Um, and so that kind of took a lot of like my attention. It was like, this feels really good, but my attention has to be here for my wife right now. So then it was kind of a delayed thing. So we actually didn't get much more client work after that. But then, so then this is like a year or so later, we decided, okay, we need to do marketing. And that's when we launched LinkedIn this year because
Uh,
we had worked with a few clients and when I popped on LinkedIn, man, that's when things started getting really crazy for me. Like not crazy as in like, wow, this is insanely successful, but crazy as in validating.
mm,
Like I put a comment on some post tagging Marty Neumeyer and we had made a big point of writing our definitions of branding and brand strategy.
uh,
And so I put that on there and I asked Marty Neumeyer what he thought and he said, "Sounds good to me." And I'm like, "Dude, you were like the godfather of brand strategy." Like that was definitely the moment that I was like, I don't have to ask anyone's permission for
yeah.
this anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like masculinity bestows masculinity.
Hmm.
It was that exact same thing. It was like, man, brand strategist just bestowed like his
Yeah,
blessing.
yeah, you definitely feel that. I have a few people that I've had that experience with as well on LinkedIn specifically. Like I'm connected to Steve Stout, and he like he like responds to my comments and stuff like that, like which is super
Yes.
dope. Uh,
Yeah.
Steve Stout, and there's what is it called? I'm connected to um Jake Paul.
Oh, yes. Oh, nice, dude.
But that's the beauty of LinkedIn, right? Is
Hmm.
you get a different level of access that you just don't get on other social media platforms,
Right,
you
right.
know?
Yeah.
And so I'm I'm curious to see what your experience, because you just started earlier this year, like what has your experience been in terms of LinkedIn? And I know you said you connected with someone that you genuinely admired, which is
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
What else have you learned from really like being exposed to people and their personal brands on LinkedIn?
Yes, dude. Oh, so good questions. Oh my goodness. Wow. You're really good at this. Um, yes. No. Okay, that's so good. I started LinkedIn at the beginning of August or like end of July or something like that. I can't remember. But basically within 2.5 months, like before Marty Neumeyer commented back, I think there were 5 heroes of mine that validated like stuff that I was putting out there. They just saw it and they were like, "Oh, this sounds great. Like, good job," you know. And that was I had less than 50 followers.
Mm,
Now and then 2.5 months later, I had just under 200 followers, and I had gotten my first client from LinkedIn that was inbound. Okay, so an inbound client who came to me and said, "Hey, I'm interested in working with you." At the same time, there was the brand summit with Jacob Cass. He's a phenomenal brander, and he's got this awesome community that I just became a part of. So shout out to Jacob, but Brand Builders Alliance, and he has a brand summit that he does every year where it's free to the public and everybody can go and just learn about branding and like trends in branding, things to expect. AI was a huge topic this year, but last year we were a part of this and we learned so much. Like the value of that is insane, right? And all the brand experts are there. So at the same time as like I was gaining followers and stuff, and then my first client came in. Me and Jacob were talking, and I said, "Hey, can I help with the brand summit? Because you were really tired last year." He's in Australia and he's doing it on U.S. time. And I
yeah.
said, "Can I just help?" Right? And he said, "Yeah, do you want to moderate?" So I got to like go in and moderate for like every single like expert, have just a
Uh,
little 2-minute conversation with experts before every call and stuff, and help other branders and and things like that. So the connections there were insane.
Did you
And
get video footage?
I wasn't on video, so no, I didn't get video footage,
Okay.
but they did record every single call. So yeah, I think you can still access, maybe you can access it, but yeah, there in you'll have to check out Jacob Cass's page for all those things. But yeah, I mean
What's his name? Jacob Cass?
yeah, Jacob Cass.
How do you spell Cass?
Cass.
Okay. I figured.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he has a
awesome.
pink bow tie on?
Yeah. Yep. Should be.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
gonna connect with him now.
Oh, he's so cool. Yeah, he's just a good all around grounded dude. He just had
Yeah.
his fourth kid too, so he's just awesome. But anyway, so yeah, so we were, I was in the chat helping people out like where I could, right? Just kind of getting their questions on screen, and then towards the end, I like people would ask these questions and we wouldn't have time for them, so I would try to answer them where I could too, and it was just kind of fun to like help other branders. Like, there was a lot of development that had taken place between last year and this year, and it was kind of cool to see that. At that same time, then there was some other connections that were, again, inbound connections of like, hey, I see your posts, I see what you're putting out there, can we talk? And I'm like, yeah, like happy to. Like, and so being able to talk about brand strategy before work and after work has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And so what is something that you learned at that event that the average person would not have no idea about in terms of brand? Like
Oof.
the most important nugget you could give us.
Okay. Man, that's a good one. Do you want trendy or like longevity?
How about both? One of both.
Okay, one of each. Okay. So trendy one is AI. Um, Everybody's thinking about AI right now. Everybody's talking about it, and it's fine. I mean, I get it. It's a big deal. Okay. Here's the thing with AI is it's a tool, and you pick a position, whether you're for it or against it or indifferent, whatever, but pick a side, right? Pick a position. The thing with AI, the people who are going to be really successful at AI are going to be thinking deeply about it past like the LLM structures and past even the agent structures. So think about how you would set up your system as if people were running those systems. So have like a sales department that reports to you or reports to somebody in your company that never puts something out in the public, but reports to you and does your workflows as an operating system. That's I forget who the speaker was, but they did this whole presentation on it, and it was really excellent. She did this whole thing on operating systems. So yeah, then Marty Neumeyer and Andy Starr come in, and they're not huge fans of AI, and what they have to say about AI is that technology's kind of peaked there. Like digital technology is kind of peaking at AI, right? Like there's not really anywhere that digital technology is going to go from here because it's thinking for itself at this point. So where do you grow with technology, like digital technology after AI? There's not a lot there. So we're anticipating that there are going to be growth points in other industries, like for technological advancement. My guess, and this is I work in an engineering firm, so people just think I'm weird when I say this, but my guess is that transportation is going to be the next like really wild technological advancement. I don't know. I've been wanting to see hover cars forever, but whatever.
I no, that's not wild at all. I think, and I've mentioned this before. I think AI. I'm on the fence about AI.
Yeah.
I genuinely am. I might be the person who's both pro and con because I think that AI if you don't have a strong foundation of who you are, AI can almost be borderline demonic.
Mm, okay. Yeah.
Let's go there.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, I'm so curious.
AI can be borderline demonic, and the reason I say that is because it can influence you to do things that the Holy Spirit might influence you not to do.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I think people may like rely on AI the way they should the Holy Spirit.
Right. Right.
And AI is very like if you go into ChatGPT is very people pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
it'll tell you what you want to hear, even though it may not be the right thing. And it
Right.
might lead you. AI is going to lead people into doing things that they would have not done at all if they didn't have the influence. And if we look
Mm-hmm.
at the first influencer, we love that. We love throwing that term around.
Right.
First
Right.
influencer, Satan himself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like,
Right. Oh
it's a
man.
very first influencer. So,
Yeah.
like, but AI can also be a tool um to do beautiful things in the world, to
Mm-hmm.
really help people. So that's why I say I'm a bit on the fence about it, because with AI you can literally create systems and have access and build solutions, world solutions,
Mm-hmm.
all through AI. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I think the next thing that we have to figure out is how are we going to regulate AI?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
maybe there should be an actual age requirement to even
Mm.
use AI.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, yeah, my coworkers joke like there needs to be like you need to have a license to use the internet. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like, yeah.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
I agree. I mean, like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, man, you can use this for good or you could use this for so bad, you know?
Yeah.
And like, and I totally get that. I'm also on the fence, but we're about. I told my team kind of recently. I was like, we're about to take a stance on AI, but I'm not quite ready to make it right now. But it's like, but we're about to take a stance on it. And here's a thing that AI won't do. And this is and just from like a branding perspective, right? So like if you were to say AI, I want you to look into my business and I want you to write up a purpose statement for me, and I want you to write up like a blah 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 for me, and I want you to make this brand strategy for me.
Mhm.
It'll do it. It'll go, yep, here, yep, and like 10 minutes, you've got your brand strategy guide. Here's what it's not gonna do. It's not gonna tell you what other businesses are not doing. Okay, so it's only gonna tell you this is what other people like you have done that has been successful. And what Marty Neumeyer and Andy Starr were talking about is like that is the road to sameness, right? And the sea of sameness is what they're calling it. Um, and so it's not, and this is something that because after the summit I was thinking about this a lot, and it was like, oh, like, well, there you go. It's not gonna because it's not gonna critically think for you. It's only gonna do actual programmed tasks, but yeah, it's not gonna tell you what other businesses are not doing. It's not going to tell you where the gaps in the market are, and it's only going to point you to the nearest market share portion. And
Yeah.
so what you need and so we're going to be finding ourselves in a need, and we're kind of there already, but a need for people to really critically think. That's going to be like for higher up companies and stuff like that. There's going to be a huge need for critical thinking people who can verify or deject whatever information's coming their way so that they can make wise decisions. It's like, so if AI tells you, hey, like do this, or even a person says, hey, do this, and this is conversations I have with people all the time. I was responding to emails about this yesterday. It's like, oh, should I do this for my business? It's like, well, if this leads you to doing something that is like fast, and it's not connected to your customers, or it's not really aligned with purpose, and it's probably just going to be a waste of money.
Mm,
Also, if you're just duplicating what other people are doing in the market, you're just going to look like a commodity.
mm,
So you don't like in branding, it's all about connecting to a very unique person out there who's going to be brand loyal, and that brand loyalty then brings you exponential results for your business and audience and revenue. And um, so you want to get away from sameness, and that's not where AI is going to take you. The other thing that's interesting about AI, and I say this in the comments a lot, is like we're in an age right now of where human connection is at an all-time low supply,
mm.
and so it's at an all-time high demand. And somebody disagreed with me on this recently, and I love it because it's like, okay, let's talk about it. But basically, human connection is at an all-time high connection, or human connection all-time high demand. So basically, what that means is like the more aligned and resonant you are with your customers, the like man, the so much more potential comes from that brand loyalty, right? Now, instead of them bringing 5 to 7 customers your way, they're going to be bringing 15 to 17 customers your way, because you're going to be the only one that really resonates with, who they are. And maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but the idea is there, right?
Yeah.
So
No, no, no. I think you're absolutely right. Listen, bro, I'm from New York. You know, we really don't follow the wave. We create our own
yes.
wave. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what
Yeah.
we do. We the ones who made Timberlands popping, you know.
Yes.
Um, and so I'm very I don't like the idea of um not being able to differentiate yourself in a market with other people. And I completely agree with you. You even see it on. Let's just take it. Let's strip it down to like what we can visually see, like on an everyday. When you're on LinkedIn, you can tell whose posts was like created with AI and very limited. Everyone's post is created with AI.
Right,
You
right,
can
right.
tell whose post is created with AI and very limited human effort.
Yes.
You know what
Yes,
I
you can.
mean?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
You know,
Yeah, and people want to like why do people oh man, it's like the uncanny valley, right? It's like when you see a CGI face that's deep faked, you're like, I don't connect with that person's face. Why don't I connect with that person's face? And it's because, okay, the ratio of like computer generated information, or even unfiltered computer generated information, which isn't very common in CGI, but let's just say it is, right? It causes this disconnection, this immediate disconnection. And so the same thing happens with written content. And even without AI, that's going to happen, right? If you
Mhm.
do copy paste, people are going to pick up on that, right? I mean, okay, here we go. We're going to talk about gaming. So let's talk about Call
Do
of
it.
Duty, right? So Call of Duty, right? Everybody calls it the copy paste subscription model,
Mhm.
right? Where it's like, oh, you're going to pay your subscription to play Black Ops 2 again this year or whatever for $70.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like, if you even just copy paste something, then people are going to just immediately like disconnect.
Mhm.
Like even if they buy your product, that's the crazy thing, is even if they buy your product, they're not going to be connected to it. And as soon as another like competitor comes up in the field that's doing something that's remotely similar to you, you're going to see how many brand loyal customers you actually have, and that number is not going to be very high, because you're this is what we call commoditization, right? It's like you are the cheapest option out there that's generic. You're a
Yeah.
generic option that just solves a problem, and you're not actually connecting with anybody.
You're a entrepreneur, like
Yeah.
like
Yes. Yeah.
um like Walmart, like
Yeah.
they sell cheap items, like and they take a small little, like the actual what is it called, profit margin is so small because they can sell so cheap. Like you're
Hmm.
a entrepreneur, you're not even you know, you're not an entrepreneur, you're a entrepreneur.
Right.
But it's so crazy that you say that, you know, in terms of just the like that being a deciding factor moving forward is like having that connection, because a lot of the time, this is another thing that it just all ties back, is full circle, right? Like people only spend money on things that they believe are more valuable than the money.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So it's like
Absolutely.
uh, they buy a Mercedes because they believe the Mercedes is more valuable than the money itself.
Yeah.
It makes them look better. It brings their status up. So that same thing works in brand strategy, in marketing, and in every industry, you know?
Yeah. Well, and even one step further, right? It's like what you purchase says something about you.
Mhm.
So what you purchase,
Ooh,
yeah,
I like that.
right, right.
That's a bar. What you purchase says something about it.
Yeah. So it's like, so when you purchase something, it's gonna do two things. It's gonna tell the world about something about you, and
Mhm,
it's gonna verify to yourself something that you already believe about yourself.
mhm,
So this is what like brand strategy dives into. It's like, okay, so we work with creative visionaries.
mhm,
Now, and I don't talk about like a demographic there. I talk about the psychographic. And the psychographic is a creative is somebody who very easily recognizes patterns that others necessarily wouldn't.
mm,
And a visionary is somebody who then wants to have a large impact on the world. So they want to like change economies. They want to lead industries. They want to like, you know, I don't know. They want to change the world, right? They're
mhm.
or at least they're part of it.
Yeah.
And so somebody who recognizes patterns and wants to change the world with those patterns.
Mhm,
Like that's who we connect with, right? And so when people work with us, we're verifying that creative visionary identity with them because they're like, yeah, that's who I am. I want to save the world, right?
yeah,
And like, sweet, let's help you do that.
yeah.
You know? And so if you buy a Mercedes, what does that say about you versus me buying like a Hyundai, right?
Mm,
Someone who buys a Hyundai is like, I don't really care what kind of car I need. I mean, that was my attitude.
yeah,
So for me, it's like I don't really care what car I need. I just need a sedan and I need something that can fit a car seat. So, so we got a Hyundai. But a Mercedes is like, I want to stand out. I want people to know that I have status. I want people to know that like I have money to spend. Um, that's usually what somebody with Mercedes like
yeah.
purchases. The BMW is another great example. Is like it's the ultimate driving machine. It's like, yeah, you're like a hobbyist driver,
Yeah.
like yeah, you like identify as somebody who like is bold, adventurous, isn't afraid to break the rules, isn't afraid to bend the rules or find that line, right?
Mhm,
Like that and really push the limits of performance.
mhm.
Yeah, so like l- pun intended, but driven people, right? So like I'm not great at car analogies because I'm not a car person, but basically
Not a
that's
car
like
person
the
either.
idea, right? Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, whether it's cars, I'm a sneaker person, so
Oh, heck yeah. Okay.
I love my sneakers, bro. Like, and I'm in this phase right now where I really love sneakers that other people don't like, that
Yes.
are like just like ugly or wild or crazy or just. I'm like an anti hype beast. I want to wear things that I know other people aren't gonna have on their feet, like
Okay,
not
give
because
me an example.
not because of price tag. I'll give you a perfect example. They got dang, I'm hoping I get a brand deal from these people. Y'all need
Yes.
to come.
Yeah.
Yo, Anta right now is killing it. Kyrie Irving's Anta line, man. Nike, I know that they're like, I don't know what they did by letting go of Kyrie Irving, but his Anta line is so nice. And
Oh,
I just went to CultureCon. Let me see if I can. pull up because I can screen share. Here
Yes.
is
These are sweet.
like they're so nice. This I actually wore this pair here. Let me see if I can screen share real quick. Um,
Okay,
yeah,
while you're screen sharing
check
too, let
this
me
out.
let me
Check
ask you.
this out.
Oh my gosh.
So sick, right? I got
Dude,
one
that's
of
awesome.
those.
That's so cool.
You know, and the colorways are fire. Like the and look at the price tag, 125.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like this is absolutely a statement piece. I was at CultureCon with a bunch of people who let me tell you something. And my girl will tell you too. She's like, something about y'all New Yorkers. Y'all, it don't even matter. Yeah, everyone's the main character. Everyone's like in a
Mm,
fashion show.
yeah.
And that's exactly how it was. And people were stopping me, asking me, like, yo, are those the Kyries? I was thinking about getting them, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And and so
Yes.
I bring that up because um one of my mentors has drilled into me. And a lot of the times when I'm about to spend my money on something, I kind of hear it in the back of my head that past perceived voids equals present pursuit values. And so
Mm,
all of the so sometimes I'll see like some Jordans that just dropped, and I'm like, yo, when I was a kid, I wanted those so bad. And it's like
yeah.
you could get them right now, but at the same time, it's like that could also be groceries for my family for the next three
Mm,
weeks.
wow.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Oh
it's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like past perceived voids equals present pursuit values. Uh,
Mm.
I like what you said earlier, though. Is like what you are like what you spend your money on. How'd you phrase that?
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, so what you purchase says something about you.
It does.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
absolutely does. And so um,
Also, what you spend your time on says something about you. So time and money,
that
man, it always
says
comes down.
more about you.
Yes.
What you spend your time on says more about you.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh man, that's so real.
but so tell me, right, Darren, what's next? What's
What's
next?
next? Man, I'm just loving just connecting on LinkedIn. Yeah, by the way, if anybody's following Jose and wants to chat it up, I'll be in his posts and chatting it up in his posts and stuff. So follow Jose.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely follow Darren because his content from the time that I met him, he's putting himself out there a lot more, and his content is just getting better and better and better. I was like
Oh,
looking
thank
through
you,
your
man.
stuff. I'm like, it's getting really, really good.
Oh,
And
thank you.
one thing I will say about you that you understand is um offering free game and free value.
Thank you.
And I can understand why you have people knocking at your door right now, even though you are just starting on in terms of building your followers and things of that nature. Like I can understand because you're leading with value.
Mm.
And so if you want to learn about brand strategy, you absolutely want to follow Darren. Make sure you hit that. Now, don't just follow him. That's that's cheap. That's cheap. Don't just follow him. Hit that notification bell. And for Jose Rivera, don't just
Yes.
follow him. Hit the notification bell. Every time that something drops, when this drops, we want you to comment, like, subscribe. We're
Yes.
in the age of collaboration. So
Yeah.
that's what this is all about. It's all
Yep.
about finding places where I'm insufficient at and meeting you and you can be more sufficient at that and vice versa and we can help each other.
Yep, absolutely. And actually, that's a really awesome kind of last point too. Is Jacob Cass also hit on this in a post before the summit, and this was a huge conversation during the summit. Was collaboration is a really unexplored thing right now, especially for branders and creators. And this is how like communities form, right? So don't be afraid to, like, if you work in the same realm as Jose, give him a follow. If you work in the same realm as him, reach out to him, see if you can jump on his podcast or something, or see if you can help him with his podcast or something. Because the idea is all about differentiation, which we were just talking about. So if you are different enough, you should be able to confidently put your competitor's business card on the table when you're trying to make a deal. And I literally did that yesterday.
Woo, let's go.
So, yeah.
There you
So,
go, bro. That's crazy.
So, yeah. So feel free to do that. Like if you work in brand strategy, like hit me up. Like let's talk about it. See if there's any way we can collaborate or whatever. I'm happy to help out. I try to respond to any comments. So if you reply to comments for me on Jose's stuff, like I'll reply back, you know, as long as the conversation needs to go on for. If there's a dead end, there's a dead end. But you know, like, you know, I try to respond to every comment, and you know, let's just talk. Let's talk brand strategy. Let's talk about building your business through podcasts, through whatever you need. So,
Man, if you're still here, you just got a master class in what it takes to build a brand that doesn't just survive, but actually dominates. Darryn's proven that when you get the foundation right, everything else falls into place. From helping clients 100x their revenue, it's all about clarity and intention. If you're out there working hard, but no one's seeing the results, or you're wondering why your competitors are getting all the attention, go back to the foundation. Know your customers, simplify your offer, position yourself clearly. Darryn, thank you so much for breaking this down for us and showing us that strategy is the difference between being overlooked and being the obvious choice. If you resonated with this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay blessed and highly caffeinated.